Good morning. Today we're going to look at Leviticus chapter 14, and it's another one of these groaners, as far as I'm concerned. It's the rituals, the header in my Bible says the ritual for cleansing of the ritual for cleansing healed lepers. So it's the ritual after the leper is cleansed, not a ritual to cleanse them, not anything. But I still don't know how they get cleansed of leprosy. I mean, it just must just kind of go through the course, just like a cold or something like that. That you just put up with it till it's gone. But leprosy was one of those things that in my head just didn't clear up on its own. It was kind of a lifetime deal. But anyway, there were rituals that were followed. The person with leprosy was to be brought to the priest. However, the person with leprosy couldn't be in town, really couldn't come into the sanctuary. So the priest would, go outside of the town limits, and then the leper would be brought to the priest. And this would be, at the point of time, first diagnosis as well, but also when the person was hoping that, the leprosy was gone and it would then be clean. And, the priest would examine the person, and if the leprosy is healed, well, then the priest would command for the person to take two living and clean birds, not cleaned, but clean birds as in not unclean as to something that you weren't supposed to touch or eat or do anything with. But to take two birds and one and a piece of cedar wood and some scarlet thread and some hyssop, which hyssop was like salt or pepper, something you would put in your food, to flavor it, stuff that way, maybe like honey, something on that order. But the first of these birds would be killed in a basin over running water. And not just a bowl with water in it, but running water, like a stream or something that way, because running water is living water, shows life. It's not stagnant. It's not just there, but it's it's doing something. I don't know, but anyway, it had to be over the running water. And then the other bird that was kept living would take it with the cedar wood and the scarlet thread and the hyssop and dip them and this into the blood of the bird that had been sacrificed, and it was all just, you do it just this way. Yeah, and I'm thinking, man, I'm sure glad I don't have to remember how to do all of those kinds of things. I'd need written instructions, and there are some things in my wood shop that I've made many different times, but still when I start making them, like these cutting boards I just finished with, that look, they're 3D, they make your eyes work. I don't remember how to do that all exactly right, so I usually get the instructions out. And this is what I would need to do for these rituals. I'd need to have them written down and refer to them, quite often. Anyway, so then, like 7 days, if the person isn't clean, well then they'd have to go back through this, 7 days later. If the person is clean, then on the 8th day, they would take the two male lambs, make the sacrifice of that way and get everything going that way. But again, God is conscious of the people, and he realizes that not everyone can maybe afford, two lambs, so it could be one lamb and two turtle doves or two pigeons, or depending on the poor person. This is God's concern for each and everybody, not to make anything out of the reach of somebody, but the ritual is there, and you go through this, and the verse 25, you'll kill the lamb of the trespass offering. The priest shall take some of the blood of the trespass offering and put it on the tip of the right ear of the one who is to be cleansed, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. and he'll pour some of the oil into the palm of his left. Wow, I mean, this is very specific instructions that God is giving for the Israelites to follow. And in a way, I kind of wonder if it's, if they have to follow these laws for the cleansing or for the, the rituals after the person has been cleansed from leprosy. And maybe it's the way that God is saying to them that, I have the other laws, my 10 Commandments, and you are to follow them very specifically too, and very explicitly. But, it's to learn how to listen and learn how to follow what God would have them do. And so, we've talked a lot about the leprous people. Well, then the next section talks about leprous houses. If the leprosy is in the house, mold, and I'm thinking, black mildew, and I think about like asbestos today, of all of the things that we have to worry about, when we are remodeling or doing something in a house as to what might be there. But, if the leprosy, this mold or mildew, like, in the garments, within the what was it, the worm in the wood, or the worm in the wood? I don't remember those two words now, but the wrap and but it could be in the fabric, it could be in the houses. And so if there's this mold and stuff, this white on the walls in the house, they would scrape the walls very carefully, very hard, scrape them, cleanse them, and then recover them, plaster them again, And if the plague comes back again after they've done that, well, then they tear that wall down, tear the stones out that are covered with this leprosy, with this mold or mildew, and whatever we want to call it, and take them out of the town into a place that is unclean. They would have a dump grounds, basically, of some sort, but an area that they knew it was unclean, so it was, you don't go there, and so then if they work on, first scraping and cleaning, and then the second time they, tear the wall down, and if the leprosy, if the mold mildew comes back again, then they completely destroy the house. There's no hope for it. And, and things like that happen in today's world as well, But, so if a person, it says if a person has come and lied down in that house, well, it doesn't mean just to lie down briefly, but it means, spend the night there, sleeping there. That's, that's what happens, that's what the lie down means. But, so then if a person has been in this house that is filled with leprosy, then of course, then that person has to be watched, set aside, quarantined for those 7 days again, and watched and everything that way. And again with the house, if the house is cleansed, then they would, take the 2 birds, the cedar wood, the scarlet, the hyssop, and all of that same type of sacrifice again, or that kind of a thank offering maybe, after the healing and the cleansing was done. And the one bird that was killed, well, the other bird was set free to signify that the person, the house, is now set free and can live, and so there was that part of the death of the illness and the freedom and the new life that comes afterwards. And it's just the laws and all of the rituals. Reading about them, trying to figure out just exactly how this one might be a little bit different than that one, but to keep track of it, and God somehow had this all figured out and all planned out, and instructed Moses as to this is how you should live, as a way of instructing his chosen people and showing them his ongoing love and grace.